Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire. And when I'm not interviewing inspiring entrepreneurs, I'm listening to Stephanie O'Brien on the Moved by Purpose podcast.
As much as I love the job, it's not my life, and it's not where my future is, and it definitely was not coexisting with my purpose on this earth.
Are you longing to know what your purpose is? Are you on the wrong career path? Do you feel like there must be more to life? Don't worry, there's hope. It's time to be moved by purpose. Now your host, Stephanie O'Brien.
Hey, you are listening to the Moved by Purpose podcast with Stephanie O'Brien, and we are on episode 45. And today I am very excited to introduce this guest. He is a friend of mine whom I have met through Coaching with Excellence, or the Coaching Mastery program over with Dan Miller. He is loads of fun. His name is Catalyst John, and he is a business growth and launch strategist helping entrepreneurs get laser focused, execute the right strategic plan, and create profit systems. Combining over a decade of experience in training and law enforcement tactics with his love for entrepreneurism, he has grown his coaching business to serve clients internationally in just under 2 years. He is an agent that provokes significant change and massive action. Welcome to the show, John. I am super thrilled to have you on today as my guest.
I am super thrilled to be here. I don't know if you remember, but I remember us driving around in Tennessee in a car and having conversations and just having so much fun. And it is so good. I know we keep in touch, but it's good to get you back on and talk to you live.
Yes, definitely. We talked a few months ago over just a lunch, and it's always fun to chat with you. So I'm so excited for everybody else to get in on our conversation.
Yes!
The first question I ask always is just I already know you quite well, but I want the listener to hear this. Give us a background of why you started your business, your work history, what led up to you doing what you do today.
So I'm going to try to keep it not too long, but it literally starts when I was born. My mom was still pregnant with me, and she is painting the new restaurant that my parents were opening. They opened a sub shop. It was the first one in our town. There was nothing like it, and my dad was just incredibly successful. My mom, she opened up a little higher scale restaurant and much more of a sit-down style, and then they kept growing the business, and so I literally grew up in the back of these restaurants, and my childhood was going to the wholesale place with my dad and buying supplies. I couldn't wait to get out of school because then I would go to work, and that's where I got money and food and had fun. And so for me, it all started then. And when I grew up, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted my own business, but I was trying to figure it out. I launched some, they failed quickly because I was still a teenager when I launched my first one. So I got a real job, and I woke up in corporate land and had this great job and was so successfully miserable. It was the dream life. I had my own apartment.
Wait, did you say the C word? Cubicle?
Yes, the cubicle.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine you in a cubicle.
It really is not a good thing. And so I was miserable. I had my apartment. I had this corporate job. I was on salary. I mean, it's like number 137 on the Forbes 500. That's what you're supposed to be doing. I'm wearing polos and khakis. So, I mean, it's a casual work environment, and it's horrible. And so my dad had talked about, at some point in time, I remember us sitting on the couch and we were having a conversation, and he would listen to the police scanner at night, and he said something about how if he had it to do all over again, he would seriously have thought about possibly going into law enforcement. And so I'm in my early 20s. I think I'm like 22, 23, and I'm like, I hate my life. I want to do something more. And I'm like, I could just give it a go. So that one day when I'm sitting on the couch with my kids, I could reminisce and be like, at least I tried.
Right. Yes.
So I completely freaked my mom out because the first opportunity to tell her that I'm quitting corporate job, that she is so proud of me, and I'm going to go risk my life in law enforcement. We're on an airplane on Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, good timing.
Yes, and she's like, you almost killed me. And so I get through the academy and I get hired on. I get through probation, and then I'm a real cop, but I'm still a newbie. Well, I did it. Now, I mean, I loved it, but what was really interesting is I was still missing something. So I'm like, I was missing something in the corporate world, and now I've done this, and I'm still missing something. And it's a good job, but it wasn't true to myself. And so I was really looking at what was the truest thing that I needed to do. And through that, I wrote down the 3 words, and it was train, equip, and teach. And I realized that that's what I'm going to do best. And so like the last business that I opened prior to this one, I owned and operated a screen printing company for about 5 years. I ran on the side while I was a cop.
Oh, wow. Did not know that about you.
Yes, I am the T-shirt guy, T-shirt guru also. And let me tell you, it's fun to shop with me because I feel the fabrics, and my wife is like, it's all the same. I'm like, it's not the same. And so I did my I hate when I do that. So I have to call myself out. Oh,
that's fine. I do it all the time.
I love hanging out with you.
Yeah, just take pauses. Okay, so you're a great shopper, and so you had the side hustle, but while you were in law enforcement.
The crazy thing was, one of my biggest goals to grow the screen printing company was to get just good enough where I could start consulting and help other people grow theirs. And that's really where I've become that is the dream. It's not to own a manufacturing company. It's not to be in retail, but it is to teach, to train, to equip others to have more success. And specifically, I just love the dream that entrepreneurs have. And so I've taken all my experiences and I've wrapped them up in one, and I just serve entrepreneurs and help them grow their businesses.
And so you didn't like the law enforcement. Could you expound maybe like what did you not like about the law enforcement? You realized you didn't like something was missing in the corporate. Then you went and pursued the law enforcement. You had this side hustle. And you went into law enforcement because that was something that, I mean, I love how you just take action. That's what I just love about you. You have an idea and you go for it. Even if it doesn't work out for you, you learn from it. And I think personally, you're way ahead because you take action than if you were to just still be wondering, what if I did that? So you went for it, and it still wasn't the most ideal fit for you.
It was almost the perfect job. The problem was I loved training. When I was in law enforcement, I loved it, and I couldn't do it full time.
Okay.
There was one position, and it was supposed to be my position, and I still have some resentment inside. I'm tearing up right now as we speak. Just kidding. But it really upset me, honestly, because I was supposed to get this job, and because of red tape and because of the corporate structure that I was in, it was given to somebody else. It was not given because of qualifications or desire or anything like that. It was simply given because of an actual assignment on a piece of paper. And I was on the wrong side of the company. We had a major division where we had the east side of the county and the west side of the county. And because of allocations, they said that position had to go to the other side of the county. And I was like, I'll transfer. I mean, switch somebody over to my side. But so I could never get the full-time gig. And it's really, really hard in law enforcement to do that. And that's where I really excelled, was teaching the new hires how to be cops. And this was a full-time position. It was a training position, and I missed out on it. I just missed that opportunity. I'm glad because it allowed me to really open up my life. And the other thing with law enforcement is I worked night shift primarily my entire career. I actually still have trouble sleeping at night because I did so many years on nights, and it was kind of hard on the family life, and the kids are getting older, and the wife is honestly the love of my life. Her name is Allison. She's my first wife. She's my only wife, and she was a single mom pretty much because I was gone. I mean, it's not as bad as soldiers. I can't understand how you do it in a soldier house, but in a lot of the times I wasn't around.
Yeah. So you knew there was something more, and you were able to have enough, I guess, intuition or knowledge or self-awareness to acknowledge that training was something you were really passionate about. You really enjoyed it. You were really good at it. And that's what you desired more. And then that opportunity was taken away from you because of the bureaucracy and the defective system with government jobs. And so then it led you to be the business strategist or the business coach that you are.
Yes.
Because you get to do that now all the time, full time.
Yes, and I get to relate and I get to enjoy myself. I get to pick and choose. There's some things that are inside of my core that are very special to me. And so I can say, no, I'm not working this day because I want to invest into that. And sometimes it's a big deal and sometimes it's not that big of a deal. And like American Sniper is coming out and I was going to take off, but it just didn't work out with scheduling with the wife and some friends. But, under normal circumstances, I can just take off the night and go hang out with my friends and just love life. And I also, when other people can't be working, I get to work because I love it. I mean, when I wake up, some of the stuff I get to do is the most amazing things in the world, which is pretty cool because being a cop, you get to do some really awesome stuff.
Yeah, I imagine. I was never in law enforcement. I was a social worker, so I had the paperwork. I didn't get all the action.
No. I remember hanging out with people that did the same thing as you. And yes, we would do the action and then we would all have a nice little cup of tea afterwards with the social workers. And then you guys got the horrible part of the job because, I remember the amount of paperwork it would take and it was like, even if nothing happened, but we digress.
I know. Okay, anyway, so we're not going to go back there. We're both doing something we love. We're both building something valuable, important, and thriving in work we love. I want to know, though, how did you become that intuitive or self-aware? Not everybody, honestly, it's amazing how many people are not that in tune with what they enjoy. There's actually a lot of people that write me and say, I don't know what I love, or I don't know how to narrow it down, or I love all of these things. And how in the world am I supposed to pull out of that a way to make a living? Was it just through experience, or how did you become that clear that training was something you love to do?
Intent. I have a wife that was so completely jealous of because I have always struggled with my career from day one. When I left the nest and left the family business, I have always struggled with this, and I'm totally jealous of my wife because she knows exactly what she wants to do in life. Her ideal is simply to be married and raise her children. She's a homeschooling mom, and she's incredible at it, and that's what she wants. And so she never had to go through the things I had to go through. And so I got really intentional. So I started off, my personal journey was I started off looking for the mission statement, the personal mission statement. And when I did that, I didn't even think about it, so I didn't pull it up, but it was something about helping serve others and helping them achieve more success in their life, something to that effect. And then it just wasn't enough, so I kept digging down. And then my church, they had this small group, and it wasn't a required class, but it was kind of like the church class, and it was finding God's purpose for your life. And I was like, yes! Yes, yeah. I need that.
This is it.
Yeah, so I'm like the eagerest person to be, that's a horrible word, but I'm more eager than anybody else in the room. I'm so excited. Just me, the whole shebang is coming out. And I'm just loving this because I'm experiencing how to find your purpose. And my wife's just laughing from the side going, is it really that difficult? Do you have to go to a class? And I'm like, yes, because I got no idea.
Yeah.
And I go through the class, and I really didn't get my purpose. That's the truth. I got the edge of it. I was right there, but I couldn't get it. But it came down to that whole train, equip, and teach. There was something that was always inside of me. And so the coolest thing is, I love this questions because purpose is so unbelievable because it's everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're a cop or you're a social worker or you're a lunchroom lady or you're a bus driver or you're a stay-at-home mom. No matter where you are, your purpose is there. And your purpose is there when you're hanging out with your friends, and it's when you're at quiet times. And so I actually was asked to start leading the class because they said I got it. And so I'm leading the class. And then my wife comes the next time and she co-leads with me. And so now all of a sudden we're the purpose people at church. And every time I'm teaching this, I'm redefining and I'm working on it more and more with myself. And I read this book by Mark Batterson called The Circle Maker. And this one line just tore me up because it simply said that you are one defining decision away from changing your life. So the wife and I, we start praying hard because I know I'm not in the right place. I just know I'm not. And I know that I won't be there. And you're supposed to work 25 years as a cop, and then you get to retire. And I know I'm not going to make it 25 years because as much as I love the job, it's not my life, and it's not where my future is. And it definitely was not coexisting with my purpose on this earth. So we pray and we pray and we pray. And I keep reflecting on that one quote. your one decision. And so for me, the decision was to quit.
Okay.
But to circle back to your answer, I was just very intentional. I started researching and learning and studying and teaching other people to find theirs and just digging as deep as I could. And I think there's some very, very specific steps that you go through, and it starts illuminating and revealing what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. You touched on that very well. You're right. Some people like your wife. My brother-in-law was like that. At the age of 5, he knew he was going to be a lawyer. I mean, his mother told us stories of how he would just walk around with a briefcase, and he was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. And sure enough.
Awesome.
And okay, so some people are just clear at childhood. Majority of the people, that's not the case. It's a journey. It's an exploration. It's constantly trying things on to see what fits. And even when you find something that fits, you can outgrow that. And then you have to go through the process all over again. So I love how you said you explored, you dug deep, you looked within, you started working with other people, and you prayed, which I think is key. I mean, I say that the number one thing I first start people is, what's the first step? I'm like, you got to pray.
Yes.
I was like, you got to pray. You're a designer, you're a creator. Designed you for a very unique and specific purpose to accomplish in this world. And you sense that, you know that, which is why you have the desire to seek that. And if you seek, you will find, but you sometimes have to diligently seek.
Yes.
And press in and pray and pray and pray and knock and knock and knock. So as you said, you prayed a lot. And then also just seeking wise counsel. Who are the people God has blessed you with that are your wise counsel? And if you don't have them, you might have some. Part of my journey and part of my process is I was not plugged into a church. I didn't really have wise counsel. I had a lot of foolish counsel in my life, and I had to do a lot of purging. I had to do a lot of, or some people say, pruning. You have to cut off what's no longer serving you, what's taking the energy, the dead things that are not giving you fruit in life. And so it is a process, and it takes a lot of courage, a lot of faith, and it's something that prayer alone is very, very powerful. Don't get me wrong, but prayer alone, you do have to start taking action, and it's hard to discern sometimes what the right action is without the counsel of other people to process things. I mean, we're not meant to live alone. We're not meant to do it alone. I imagine that you coming to the realization that you need to, in faith, quit your job. I'm sure you discussed that with your wife before you did that and talked about that and had somebody to process that with rather than doing it out on your own.
Yes, my wife and I, we came up with a game plan. Now, I'm not going to lie. Our game plan literally really came down to we were going to apply to go into full-time ministry because there was an opportunity for that. And the second thing was we were going to go see Dan Miller and go with Coaching with Excellence and see what sprung forth of that. And so my wife and I, we were on the same page. It is Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving holiday. I had to work the entire holiday. Did not enjoy that at all. And I missed Thanksgiving with the family. So we're actually at our friend's house. And our friend was our small group leader. And so you talk about mentoring. And so we're eating Pizza Hut pizza for our Thanksgiving meal with our friends. And I'm laying.
Sounds delicious.
I'm laying out. Yeah, I had a thin, crispy pepperoni. That was my favorite. I'm laying out my plan to my friend. And I'm like, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. This is why I'm going to do this. I just want to know, am I crazy? Or does this make some kind of sense? And he said, I don't think you're crazy, John. I think you have a plan that you should go after. I agree with you. You've done the work, and I think you should go for it. So we went for it, and I put my resignation in. 2 weeks later, was unemployed. I had probably the best month of my life. It was December 12th of 2012. I'll never forget it. 12/12 is my day of celebration every year.
12/12/12.
Yes.
Yep.
And I got like a free box of Krispy Kreme donuts that day too. And I just spent time with my family. We went on a vacation. I just loved on them. I hung out with the kids. I reconnected with my wife. Because as I said, the whole time I was in law enforcement, it was kind of like, in a lot of ways, we were like roommates. And in a lot of ways, she was really the single parent. And so we just spent a whole bunch of time together. In January, we went and saw Dan Miller. A lot of things came out of that. I really embraced this whole coaching model. In February, I had my first client, a paying client. And a lot of it is, I got to tell you, even though I knew that I was doing the coaching model at that point, there's a lot of experimentation. Last year, we completely redid the business for the first year's experience. This year, we're doing a whole bunch of new, fresh stuff, and we're rebranding some of the concepts, and we're going through and changing ideas, and we're experimenting, and we're testing things. And that's the other thing, is a lot of it's that action, it's the doing. You don't know if you don't do. And the worst thing is, in all honesty, if you make a decision when it comes to your life and your business, you probably won't die. Most people cannot die for making just a decision. And so the worst thing that happens is you go bankrupt. Well, you can recover from that. And so what is it worth to avoid?
Powerful question.
Yeah. And so one thing, I was talking to our mutual friend Mike McGreevy the other day, and it accidentally just slipped out. But whenever I really believe in something, I'm the catalyst myself. I'm betting on myself. I'm taking a risk and I'm betting on myself. I've bet really, really big, and I've never failed myself because I know myself, and I know, push come to shove, if I'm going to go do something, I'm going to do it. And I was this little kind of overweight, wearing glasses, computer nerd in a cubicle. And then in less than a year, well, maybe just over a year, because it's a really, really long time to get hired, I'm a cop, and I'm running down the streets chasing down suspects. And anybody who knew me would have been like, what? What? My academy class, we had these two guys, and they were the specimens, the golden boys. And I beat them out during the hiring process. And everyone's like, what? And it wasn't because I'm better or anything like that. It's just, I really was not going to lose.
That is a great takeaway. You said so many very powerful points. One, my audience knows I say this all the time. I am a big proponent of taking action. If you want to try something, try it. I call it fact collecting or information collection. I'm like, okay, there is wisdom in at least having a general overview of what you're doing and a plan of some sort. But I also think that can trip people up, freeze them up. They overanalyze. What is it? Paralysis analysis. And they don't take any step at all because they realize that the more they know, the more they don't know. And it's like, okay, you don't have time for that. Just take the step with what you know and just move forward. So you have been an example of what that looks like. I know my story is an example of what that looks like. And then you said something really powerful about fear. Like you said something like bankruptcy, right? Like that's a big deal.
Yes.
You can ruin your credit for 10 years and all of this stuff. However, okay, first of all, the amount of business owners that have really successful businesses, a lot of them had filed bankruptcy. At least once. And because they tried something and it didn't work out so well. And I love, because fear holds a lot of people back. Okay, in addition to collecting information, which I think is just an excuse to feed your fears, the way to face your fear is to really just look at it right in the face, right in the eye. That's what I did. Is if what I fear the most does happen to me, what does that mean? Like, am I going to die? Is my life going to be over? No. But I realize I'm not going to die. Like, this thing will not literally end my life.
No, it won't.
I'm going to be just fine. So, I mean, for me, example I shared was like for the launch, which I shared that failure story on Entrepreneur on Fire, which like I had full faith and full belief that it was going to work. I gave it my all and I did take a risk and all of that. And it didn't happen the way I had intended it to happen. And it was an extremely painful lesson to have put as much money and effort and work and belief and risk into that. I want to be careful when I say it wasn't a fruitful outcome. It did not produce the fruit I wanted it to produce. But what it did was it taught me so many valuable lessons. And I realized, like, what I feared the most did happen, and I'm okay. I'm stronger for it. And it motivated me to just keep going, to get back up. It like a whole new level of fight was found in me that I don't think I would have ever found if I didn't go through that. So that was something I just wanted to add, as well as what you fear the most usually does not happen to you. But even if it does, you're going to be okay.
I want to add on to that myself is there's a huge difference between risk and gambling. Gambling really is insanity. And as a cop, I got to tell you, I spent a lot of time going to people's houses, and we had a large casino that was driving distance within an hour, and they would literally get their paycheck and they would just lose everything every single week. And so then the cops get called because, you know, it's a very unhappy household.
Yeah.
So I got to see the effects of what true gambling is. And there's a huge difference because every single day when I went out in law enforcement, there was a significant chance that I could be injured. And I was very, very blessed. I was never, ever shot at my entire career. And I only discharged my weapon in the line of duty one time. And so it was a very, very good career. And it was a risky career, but it wasn't a gamble because I also was extremely well trained and I knew what I was doing. And when I went to places, I was taught the skills to survive. And I remember actually meeting a guy who had been shot in the line of duty and was permanently injured and permanently blinded. And so he actually was a speaker and he went around and he taught people how to survive, you know, the will to survive, to never, ever give up. And risk is great. Calculated risk is even better. And so when you're doing this, it's not a whim. You do the research, you do the education, you weigh it. And for me, I add this one little piece to it. If I'm going to lose, I'm going to completely lose, what do I add into this equation to make it completely worth it? When I quit my job, and everyone thought I was insane because I gave away my security of my paycheck, I knew the reason why it would be worth it is the year I would have with my children would be priceless. I knew that next year with my wife and my 2 boys, we would never, ever regret that year. And that's what I did. I made sure that that's how I spent my year. And then my next year, how can I serve others? If I'm going to go bankrupt and I'm going to lose everything that I've invested in this company, what do I have to do for others? And so I did that. And this year, if I lose everything, if I'm going to sacrifice this year, what is worth it? And so to me, that's one of the ways I can do this every single time because there's always going to be a reward at the end.
Yes. I can really resonate with a lot of the points that you were making because when I left my job, a lot of people also thought I just lost it. And it has not been, for those that have been with me the whole time, you know that there's been ups and downs and it has not been the easiest journey for me, but it has been a rewarding journey for me. And the thing that I just constantly reflect on, and Dan Miller has this in one of his books, and it's such a powerful point. And he uses the biblical story of the Israelites who were enslaved for years and years, generations. And then God sends deliverance to them so they have their freedom. But that freedom had things in it that was new to them because it's something they have not known. And it was a lot harder for them than they realized. And so there was like that where they were like, whoa, it was better for, you know, you gave us this freedom and now we're going to die in this wilderness. We were better off over as slaves. And I had to be really, really careful. So you enjoyed being a law officer, and I did not enjoy being a social worker. And that was just really tough for me. And I remember just building my business around the day job and how hard that was. That was an extremely difficult season for me. And then it was time to go. I just knew that I knew it was time to go. Even if I mean, I had my plan, I had things set, but also there's always a risk when you let go of your steady, secure paycheck. There's also always a risk when you hold on to it too, but I'm not going to go into that in this episode. But when I was out, I had this incredible freedom and I loved it. But just like the Israelites, there were unexpected challenges, or there were things that I just, for some reason, thought freedom meant easy, smooth sailing, and no difficulty, no challenges, no hard work. I don't know why I was under that illusion. And I had to be really careful. I was like, and there were times where I was like, I mean, God, really? Like, am I out here to die? Am I going to die too? And it's like, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that. Like, I have this incredible freedom and I have to work. I mean, like, I now have to work for my bread. I mean, I've always have, but it's different. You know, it's not somebody else writing the paycheck. It's me, right, giving myself the paycheck. So that's just a story that people that may be in kind of a season where they pressed in and they've prayed for something and they basically receive what they ask, but are now encountering some trials and difficulties that they did not expect would be there and are tempted to think that it was easier in the other situation. But the reality is it wasn't. It's just new to you. You have to adjust. So
yeah, but let me tell you, that's when the most amazing things happen in your life. We've talked and we've shared the people we are today. The Stephanie that you are today is different than the Stephanie I met when we were both at the coaching course. And the same for me. I'm not the same guy. And I got to tell you, it's been nice. And then, not to go on a tangent, but that's one thing. Safety, a lot of us would go back to this safety, this persona that we think is safe and everything. And it's really just a lie. You're not the person you were 5 years ago. You're not the person that you were when you started the job. If you're listening to this right now, there's no way that you're the same person that you were when you started the job that you're in. Things have changed. And I don't care if you started last week. Something has occurred. And you're always constantly changing. This whole looking back mindset, it keeps you in the wrong place. And you wonder why. Oh my, I don't understand why things aren't going right. Well, it's because you're stuck. You're still there in this old mindset. Everything has changed. Your world has changed around you. And you're still trying to live in a different world because it's the past. And I just want to suggest you just stop it. Stop it. You know, embrace the person that you are. It's hard. I get it. It was really hard for me to figure out who I was when I had been trained to be this officer and to allow my real free spirit to come out and combine this with this new job and everything. And we're still making adjustments, even though it's been 2 years, because things have changed and I'm figuring out, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this about myself. And every year I realize new and amazing things. And so the same thing for you. Just embrace yourself. I mean, you're pretty amazing. If you would just let yourself be amazing.
Yes, that's so true. It's realized just how awesome you are. You know, just
exactly.
I'm a pretty big deal.
I gotta tell you, Stephanie, I can vouch that you are a pretty big deal.
Well, thank you. And so are you.
Well, thank you.
Well, I would love for people to connect with you. I'm sure people are really enjoying this episode and would love to reach out to you. So tell us how they can find you and how to connect.
My name is Catalyst John. You can connect with me at catalystjohn.com. Facebook is catalystjohn.com/Facebook and catalystjohn.com/Twitter. And if you actually want to talk to me live and in person, catalystjohn.com/call.
Nice. An opportunity to speak to the Catalyst John live. I would jump on that if I were you. He's pretty fun to talk to. Well, thank you so much again for being the guest today. And I will make sure to include those links in the show note so everyone can check you out and say hello.
It has been an honor. Thanks for hanging out with me and allowing me this opportunity to hang out with you. And I just got to say, Stephanie, the most amazing things are coming down the pipes for you. I'm your friend. I've seen what you do, and we talk about what we're doing in the future. And I got to say, I love being able to have the opportunity to watch you and what you do because you are doing killer things.
Thank you so much, John.
You're welcome. if you make a decision when it comes to your life and your business, you probably won't die. Most people cannot die for making just a decision.
So there you have it. That was the wonderful and talented and fun Catalyst John, who is also very inspiring and has a very big heart to help and to serve other people get breakthroughs in their business and thrive in profitable life and work. I want to announce that I am going to start enrolling members into my mastermind group that is going to start in March sometime. If you are interested, you can check the mastermind group information out on my website under, it's either Work With Me or has its own tab. I'm sorry, I do not know that. I should, but I don't. But it is on the website. The mastermind group is going to focus on those that are in career transition. So you're currently in a day job, but you are transitioning to your dream job. You're building your dream job. And it just focuses on resources, strategies, holding each other accountable, idea sharing, idea generation, like all kinds of things to help you just rock in your business and build it up so you can transition as soon as possible. So mastermind groups are very, very powerful. I love the one that I currently have going on that is ending soon, and I will be opening for enrollment soon. So I do interview the people that are interested. I mean, it's not this extensive interview process, but I do ask to know more about your goals and your business and to see if there's a good fit. And I do ask for a 6-month minimum commitment and that you show up to every meeting. I know life happens, so if you happen to miss 1 or 2, that's fine. But to make a serious commitment to yourself and to the members is a requirement. So make sure to email me at Stephanie@movedbypurpose.net. Put in the subject line mastermind, and then tell me about yourself. Tell me you're interested. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So with that, I will talk to you all next week. And to sign off, if you are stuck, overwhelmed, not knowing what your next steps are, realize that you have everything that you need to know. And seek out somebody, research, do something. And if you don't know what to do, just do something. Because it is those that take action that are rewarded and get to where they want to go. So with that, I am signing off. Everyone enjoy your week, and I will chat with you next week.